Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. And today we are joined by star Anna Camp and director Thomas Marchese from the movie From Black, which is going to be streaming exclusively on Shudder April 28th. Anna, Thomas, welcome so much. Thank you for being on the show. Congratulations on this movie, which I really, really enjoyed. Such a great take on a really unique story. And we're going to get right to it. Anna, I want to go ahead and start with you. Your character, Cora, is a recovering drug addict. She kicks the habit after the tragedy of losing her son. And, that's not how it normally happens. A trauma or tragedy leads people into addiction. How did
Mhm.
you approach that reversal?
Well, I think it's in a pivotal scene in the beginning of the movie. We get to see her in her group therapy session, where for the first time she's really talking out loud about what has happened. And we get to hear her say that she told herself that she would be sober by the time her son came back to her. So she's made this kind of deal and bargain with herself that if she gets better, I think it goes to show that she would give anything to get her child back.
Yes.
So she's literally done everything she can, including probably one of the hardest things that she's ever had to do, which was to quit her drug addiction in order to get her child back. So I think it just goes to show that she would go to very great lengths to get to see her son again.
And any parent can totally understand that aspect. Now, Thomas, getting into the heads, before we get to that, I want to talk about the lighting, the scenery, and especially the score to this film, which is really great. Did you know exactly how you wanted to shoot this film, or was there some trial and error that you did on set to get it just the way you wanted?
Um, no, we knew exactly how we wanted to shoot it. The our cinematographer Duncan Cole is a mad genius. He came over from New Zealand, and the guy's just got such an incredible eye and just such a. I'm a DP as well, so
Mm-hmm.
on one hand, coming from the one man band world, that kind of thing is really difficult to hand off to somebody, but this was so effortless because he's just incredible, and it was really it was fun to have a common language and design the film together. But we spent a ton of time in prep to make sure that we were dialed. But yeah,
As you were directing this, did you find yourself going back into that cinematographer mode at all?
not so much in that, like, I'll just never be one of those directors. It's like, yeah, I need a medium from over there. Like, I want to see, I want to see what's down the lens. But with somebody like Duncan, it was really collaborative. It was just really great. There was never ever any tension because he clearly is worlds more talented than I am. If anything, it just allowed us to have a common language, like I said.
Excellent. Now, Anna, the loss of a child is extremely difficult, goes without saying. The circumstance in which Noah, Cora's child, disappears adds an enormous amount of guilt to Cora's character. Because, yeah, it's hard to say, but it is partially your fault, Cora's fault.
Mhm.
Now, how did you get into that mind space of Cora having to deal not only with the loss of her son, but her actually being partly responsible for it?
Well, it's a very difficult place to put yourself as an actor, but it's actually a huge gift that I was given when I read the story and I read the script to get to be able to play all of these horrible things. It was
Yeah.
actually something I was looking for as an actress. So when I'm in that space, I'm basically, thinking about, I'm not one of those actors that uses substitution, right? Where I'm like, oh, my dog died, like I'm gonna put this here, and like, that's not what I was doing. So I really, and Thomas has heard me say this before, but I really like spent some time with Trey, the young actor
Mm-hmm.
playing Noah. I was lucky enough to shoot some scenes with him very early on, I think like the first day. And I got to like really figure out like what he was like as a kid and like find things about him that I loved and listen to his voice and really kind of put myself as if I was his mother, how would I feel if this particular actual person, if Trey was just gone, if he had just vanished from the face of the earth, and if it was my fault that that had happened, and you just kind of breathe that in and let that sort of sink into your soul.
Yeah.
And for me, it became very, not easy, but I tapped into that because as an actor, I'm trained to really, tap into my emotions and be very open. And, the atmosphere on set, they created a very safe space for me to be. And I would, put my headphones on and I had a song that I would play over and over and over that put me into that space emotionally.
Wow.
And it was heartbreaking. It was really heartbreaking actually every day to be on that set, but it was also exciting because I don't get to play roles like that normally.
Watching you on in this movie, I don't know if it's because I'm a parent as well. I really sympathize with Cora's character. I mean, and a lot of parents watching this are going to connect, especially those who have suffered this terrible loss with Cora. Now, Thomas, from Black, as a lot of other movies do, start after the events have transpired, and then it's told to us through Cora's narrative talking to her sister, who's also a cop. Uh, when that started, and she started going into the story, I didn't expect to see Cora present day until the very end again. Well, that's not how you did it. We see the present day frequently throughout the film. What made you shoot it that way or tell the story in that fashion?
Well, honestly, the way that the final cut is actually even more linear than it used to be. It used to jump around even more. Very early on, we knew this was going to be a much smaller movie initially, like 3-4 years ago. And I knew that I needed to kind of hop around a little bit to keep the audience's attention when this was going to be just a teeny little movie. But then luckily it so that's why that started the nonlinear storytelling, because I wanted to make sure to have as many
Yeah.
hooks to keep you interested as possible. But
A, bu-
then
a small
then
budget
it got bigger
breeds
and bigger.
a small budget breeds innovation.
Yeah,
I'm,
definitely, definitely,
I'm
definitely.
sorry to cut you off. Go on.
No, no, not at all. And then when the budget ended up climbing somewhere to where, wow, we're going to be able to do something really exciting with this, then all those elements were already in place. So
That's very nice. Anna, Abel, your scene counterparts throughout the whole movie, is, well, an amazing job that he did. He's the leader of Cora's grief group,
Mhm.
During the group session, Cora only talks once. And we gather that because we get to see the moment that you tell the story on Noah's birthday. Do you feel Abel's character would have approached Cora if she had just stayed silent and never said anything? Or was it her speech on Noah's birthday that made him come out and approach her?
I think it was definitely her speech on Noah's birthday. I think that whether or not we know that Abel knew what had happened to her son, that opened the door. That was the first crack that let some light out for Abel to be able for Abel to be able to come in and approach her. It was her basically, opening the door for him. So I think that that's why that scene is so pivotal and so important, is that it really sparks the entire rest of the film.
And John Ailes did an amazing job as Abel. Did you guys click right away? Was the chemistry just there?
Yes, 100%. I had actually
Mm.
met John in a movie that we did earlier, a Western, but we had no scenes together.
Yeah.
And we would always walk by each other and I'd be like, I want to act with you, man. I gotta figure out something I can do with you because you're so talented. I just know it. And then the same producer of that movie produced From Black, and she brought us together, and immediately we had a fantastic table read where I just knew, my God, this is the scene partner of my dreams. I was so excited because he was so talented and so present and so calming, but also so surprising. He's one of the greatest actors I've ever gotten to work with. So it was from the get-go that we knew something really special was going on between us. And I really trusted him
Yeah.
right at the beginning, which is really, really needed, especially for a movie like this.
Now, Thomas Abel, when we first meet him in the group, he's like every other group leader that we see in movies, right? Very open. We want to, do you have anything to say? But then for the rest of the film, he is like this completely different person. I really noticed that from that first moment we meet him from the rest of the film. Was that done intentionally or is it just me?
Well, well, we're getting a little, we're tiptoeing towards spoiler
Yeah,
country
yeah,
here.
we're not going to
Um,
get into spoilers, but
no, it, interestingly, I think that there's kind of three incarnations of him, in fact, throughout the movie. But yeah, when when we very first meet him, he's in the group setting. He's playing the shepherd. He's there with his flock, and he's kind of he's being that guy. And
yeah,
then I think, and then he finds kind of a kindred spirit in Cora, and then they've got this shared trauma that they kind of
bond over.
they bond over. Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah,
Anna,
definitely.
when Abel comes to your check up on you because you missed group at the, I believe he comes to your workplace, and whenever he presents you with this fantastical idea that your reaction is to blow him off, kick him out of the house or whatnot, why does she seek him out again? Is it just the 0.001% chance that she might get what she wants? I mean, what makes her go back to him?
I think what makes her go back to him is just hope. I think she has hope. I mean, if your child was missing, I mean, if you were presented with this opportunity, like at first, of course, you're going to be a skeptic. You're going to go, what is this? This is bullshit. But I think there comes a moment where she's just like, what if? What if
Yeah,
there's even if there's like a 0.2% chance that maybe even in her soul and her mind, she like thinks she can hear him, you know what I mean? But that's comfort enough. You know how people go to these psychics that claim that they can make contact
yeah.
with loved ones who have passed away. I think it's a similar thing with her to where she's seeking out comfort that her child is okay, because I know that I would do absolutely anything,
Yeah, I
whether it's just a sign, whether it's like you get to see like a leaf fall on the specific moment that like you're like that means something to me. She's looking for anything.
any kind of hope to cling on to.
Yeah.
Thomas, the way you segmented the film, giving sort of names to the different chapters, I love how you did that. And for me as the audience, it actually drew me into the ritual that was being done. Were those the motivations behind it, or did you have completely different reasons why you wanted to sort of title each different segment of the
Well,
ritual film?
I don't know if it was I just like the idea of starting that once the actual ritual has commenced, once they start taking steps towards doing this thing. I liked kind of the buildup of, because those to me are not more than just being separate little vignettes or whatever. We're building towards something, right? Whether that's something horrific, something, whatever that's going to be. But I just like the notion of it helping build towards something. If that's,
Okay.
did that answer your question? But
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
basically the purpose behind it.
yeah. No, it totally makes sense. Anna, during a part of the movie, you're presented to eat this mystery meat. Okay,
Mm,
let's just label it that. It's
yes.
labeled as flesh, blood, bone, and then there's like a cup of blood. Uh, Cora is very resistant, as anybody would be, to eating this mystery meat. But having gone so far and seeing so much of what has happened, so you know, in
Hmm.
during this experience, why does this particular event cause her to hesitate so much?
Well, I think it's pretty
It
disgusting.
is.
I don't know if, yeah, Cora might have like a weak stomach. Also, I think storyline wise, she's done all of these things and she still hasn't seen Noah. So I think she's starting to doubt if this whole thing is going to work.
Yeah.
She's been following directions. She's been, we don't want to spoil, but she's been chained to the floor. She's done all of the things and she still hasn't seen him, heard him, had anything. So I think her doubts are really beginning to creep in that this is even going to happen.
You know what went
And
through?
also, just
Or
to,
go on.
really quick, just to keep it really vague,
Mhm.
I, you know, the part that you're talking about, she really does try, and it ends up being just too vile. Like
Yeah.
it's not a matter of as much of rejection as it is just she just can't do it. So anyway,
For
so
me,
moving on, less spoilery.
for me, putting myself into Cora's shoes, looking at it, I'll be like, is this animal or human? That would be the first thought that would cross my mind. Now, Thomas, you co-wrote the script with Jessup Flower. Did you do? Did the two of you do a lot of research into the occult and rituals to try to get the accuracy as best as you could? Tell us how that worked out.
Anyone into the occult will be disgusted right now, but uh, almost zero. We wanted to we wanted to make sure that it was something just unto itself, and we wanted to make sure the real world elements were as realistic and grounded as possible, and we knew, with my background, we knew that that would be the case. And then as far as the ritual and the occult aspects of it, we kind of made a conscious decision to just
And you know
do our
what?
own
And you know
thing.
what? For this instance, in this scenario, I think that makes perfect sense. Why
Yeah,
not?
well,
You're dealing with
thank
the
you.
occult, you're dealing with rituals. God knows there are hundreds of rituals out there. Create one, make one up, for the
Well,
Yeah.
film.
also with all of the drawing on the floor, I didn't want to really invoke, you know,
It was an old house too.
yeah.
Now, Anna Bray plays Cora's sister, who is Jennifer LaFleur. She did great as well. What kind of backstory did you build for the two sisters? We really don't get. We get some information here and there, but did
Mhm.
you need to build a backstory for the sisters in order to make your interactions with her go to your satisfaction?
Definitely. I mean, we didn't really like sit down and write anything out, but I think it was clear from the story, that she's the perfect daughter. She is the daughter that, did everything right, got all the good grades in school, is like this awesome cop. She's, definitely, I mean, I identified with that because my sister is 7 years older than I am,
Mm-hmm.
and she's valedictorian of our high school. And I was the kid that was like sneaking out of my window and like trying to figure out ways to not have my parents know that I was out hanging like with my rebel friends. And she like my sister did like nothing wrong, right? So there was definitely that was kind of there inherently. And also Jen is just such a great open actor that sometimes you can sit across for someone and you can see like a history within their eyes, like there were scenes when we were in the prison when we have these scenes from present day, that like there's just something unspoken between the two of us that it really felt like we had a history and that we were sisters.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of it was just built into the dialogue. And if you can like play that, and if you know who you are when you come into the scene, like it automatically just sort of blossoms from there. So we didn't talk too much about it, but there were times we were like, well, obviously you're the good sister and I'm the bad one.
The rebellious one. Thomas, we're almost out of time. I have one last question because I debated whether asking this question or not, but I know people that are going to watch this film are going to have the same question I'm about to ask. So this is tiptoeing through the spoiler landmine, so we're going to be very careful.
Making me nervous.
We're going to be very careful. But in the group session, the grief group session, we see the group.
You did see the person that you think you saw. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
No, that was my question.
Yeah.
That was we won't get into that, but I'll tell you that was Kelly Fraser's idea, and it was genius.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm like, am I just seeing the same face again?
Nope.
Okay, all right.
No.
All right. That's
good eye, though. Very good eye.
Very intentional.
Guys, thank you so much for coming on here. This movie is great. For everybody watching, it's premiering exclusively on Shudder, April 20th.
And AMC Plus.
AMC Plus, Shudder. Definitely check it out. It's called From Black. It stars Anna Camp. Co-written and directed by Thomas Marchese. This movie is great. It has a little bit of everything. It will scare the crap out of you. There's plenty of blood, gore, demons, rituals. You name it, this has it. Congratulations to the both of you. I want to thank our audience, those of you who are tuning in live and those who will be watching later on. On behalf of Anna, Thomas, and myself, stay safe and stay walking. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.